quarantine is now in effect. Switching to internal power and life support.
Oh, thank goodness you're here. We've had a report that someone or something has been tampering with the SGC computers. Now, Sam isn't available, so we'll need your expertise to check it out.
We need you to view the SGC's highly classified log entries, see if all the systems check out. Do you think you can handle that?
Great. We knew we could count on you.
We'll check back with you in a while. Good luck.
Of course! How do you ensure universal communication? You reduce the method of communication to the most basic elements common to everyone and everything that exists in the universe, Jack. This is a true universal language.
The very first time I thought we were really onto something with this show was an episode written by Robert Cooper. It was called Torment of Tantalus. And it was in season 1, and Jonathan directed it and Jonathan's a terrific director, and it was the first time we made an episode, and I said, geez, this is pretty good. And I really meant that. I would have loved to watch that episode had I tuned in.
This could be the key to understanding our existence. Everyone, everything's existence.
A brilliant concept for a show in which Daniel realizes that the Stargate had been opened long ago, like in 1945, by the government, when they didn't understand what they were doing. And a man had gone through it, and the government had assumed he had died, that it had disintegrated him and killed him when he stepped into it. They didn't realize it sent him to another planet. So the show's about going to that planet and seeing if he's still there.
Dr. Littlefield? I'm Daniel Jackson. We just came through the Stargate. We're real.
The answer to the question, where does a writer get their ideas, is, I have no idea. Nobody knows.
What if our memories have been somehow altered?
Well, if that's true, then we can't be sure of anything.
My memory's fine. Really?
Yeah.
What did you do in the mines?
I mined.
Somebody in the group goes, hey, I have an idea.
Rather than hang on to it for very long, we try to get together in the room.
What if this happened?
And we'll sit down.
Everybody throws in their 2 cents worth.
And we'll just spin. What if, what if, what if, what if?
We are part of something called SG1. I am Teal, do you not remember?
Somebody get this guy off me!
Then we have all these wonderful ideas. We go to sit down to work on the outlines, and we realize that
none of it works.
Yeah, and so basically we have to go back.
Sometimes it'll all just come. And when that's the case, we'll throw it up on the whiteboard and say, okay, here's Act 1, here's Act 2, here's Act 3, here's Act 4.
He said we were part of something called SG1.
Yeah, what is that?
A team?
What kind of a name is that for a team?
You know, they go away and write the script, and from there it becomes production issue.
I'll say, we can't afford to do that, we can't afford to do that, let's build this, let's not do that.
I keep trying to remember, but all I come up with are images of this place.
But if you're right, then everything we remember about this place is a lie.
It's like a facade. It only works if we don't dig too deep beneath the surface, if we don't question it. So that's what we have to do. We have to question everything, every assumption, everything.
The beauty of science fiction is that you can take your characters and put them into absolutely extraordinary circumstances that you can't put them into in a medical show or a cop show or a political show.
A good example is an episode we did where Daniel Jackson finds a mirror that goes to an alternate reality, where all our same characters are there, but they're different.
The theory is that there are an infinite number of alternate realities. Some of them are very different, and some are almost identical.
So this isn't my world at all. This is some sort of other dimension?
You know, we would sit around and go, gee, how do we take this to the nth degree? How do you see what it would happen if the Goa'uld actually attacked Earth?
In the sequel, some of those characters come back to our reality, and it gave us an opportunity to do something we were never able to do on the show. The Air Force would not let us have a romance between Samantha Carter and Jack O'Neill.
I know you well enough to know that you don't have a clue what to say. You don't have to say anything.
Come here.
And we got to explore something we would not normally have gotten to explore. And it was a lot of fun.
You have to understand, my Jack had the same face, same voice, same hands.
Which brings to mind an obvious question. How could you marry such a loser?
This is the orb from the episode Message in a Bottle. And this idea started with Brad Wright and myself thinking, what if an entire civilization was put in a time capsule? You know, the time capsule concept that we do, you know, in the United States. And, you know, we package things together and put them in a time capsule so that future civilizations would know what we were all about. Well, this was what if an entire world was put into this, including its inhabitants. That's really what the seed of this episode was about.
That symbol is on the artifact.
Yes, it is. It's trying to communicate with us.
This crystal skull is based on a Mayan myth of the crystal skull that was believed to have supernatural paranormal powers. And Brad and I talked about and always wanted to do a ghost story. And this gave us the ability to make Daniel Jackson's character a ghost. And it was a lot of fun.
Where'd he go?
They like stories that have grays, that have shades of gray, where there isn't a clear answer to the moral question, and even better when members of our own team can have disagreements and real disagreements, and both can be, you know, can have good points.
Thinking of a way to blow up the ship? I'm not really sure that's what General Hammond had in mind.
They're gonna stand there and die. It's a no-win situation. But we're not gonna sit around and watch these people get slaughtered.
And you're willing to blow up that ship to do that?
Give me another choice.
Well, I don't have one at the moment.
Apparently, time is a factor here.
In fact, Scorched Earth, there was a lot of response on the internet from the fans who were outraged over the team dynamics in this episode, just because, you know, O'Neill felt guilty. He wanted to act. He was a military man. He thought, you know, I need to save these people. These people are real. So he orders Carter to build an Aquila bomb. You know, on the other hand, Daniel's saying, well, you know, how can you make that decision? You know, it's not your decision to make. And a lot of fans were livid.
Carter, I'm making a choice to help these people. But if you don't make that bomb, I'm out of options.
I know.
So I have to order you to do it.
Yes, sir.
The Curse is one of my favorite episodes, just because we get to explore part of Daniel's life that really hadn't been touched on in the series. Actually, Paul was struggling with, a story that would basically...
It seemed like a story we needed to do, that here he was a guy who had a life, who was an academic, who knew people, who had colleagues. This is in the movie, or before the movie, at the point where in the original Stargate movie, where he gives his speech and everybody walks out on him. At that point, he disappears. He disappears for 4 years out of the world of archaeology, and we thought, wouldn't it be interesting if he was thrown back into that world and had to deal with that? And of course, the irony is that his theories have been proven correct.
I've looked for signs of you out there in the fringes. There's been no papers, no research projects. It's like you fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, it is a little like that, isn't it? As I recall, the last time I saw you, you were giving a lecture to an empty room. Yeah, well, it was full when I started.
We're all stuck in a time loop of some kind.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think? Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think? Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?
Ask me tomorrow.
Lots of shows have done time loop stories. We wanted to find a way to make it interesting for our characters. And the way to do that was to do a little role reversal where O'Neill and Teal'c become the ones who have to figure out the solution to the problem. They're not usually the brains of the operation.
Yeah, it's always Sam or Daniel who has to translate the artifact.
So that was the beginning of the humor, and then we thought, okay, if we're just doing endless loops, we have to do that sort of Groundhog Day beat where you realize, oh, you can do anything you want to do.
Hey, Vern, how's the wife?
Fine, sir.
The montage sequence actually came afterwards because it turned out we were short. So we had to come up with...
we need a little extra time, and so we thought, okay, we'll just do a montage sequence of them doing lots of crazy things.
And Brad mentioned, at the beginning of the season, he mentioned, you know what I always wanted to do? I want to see... I
wanted to golf through the Stargate. Brad's a big golfer. And Brad and Robert, actually, and they were looking to do a scene where somebody hits a golf ball through the gate, and there was never a story that really accommodated that until that, and we were talking about the montage sequence, and Brad went, we can golf through the Stargate, it's perfect.
Colonel O'Neill, what the hell are you doing? In the middle of my backswing?
I started using the Wizard of Oz references in a couple of my scripts, and Rick caught on to that and loved it.
Where's that yellow brick road when you need it, eh, Dorothy?
It became a bit of a game to see how many Wizard of Oz references we could stick into the scripts.
Certainly not Emerald City.
Auntie M! Auntie M!
Yeah, there's no place like home.
More often than not, the script you write will never be quite what you envisioned. But in the case of Point of No Return, I mean, just the deliveries were there, the action sequences were there. It was just...
It's a rare example, actually, of an episode turning out to look almost exactly the way we pictured it in our heads when we wrote it.
People were taken from Earth, maybe as part of some experiment, maybe as slaves, who knows? But the point is, there are entire civilizations up there descended from those original humans.
Now that's just crazy talk.
We'd be writing the script and we'd think, I don't know if we want to put that,
That's too silly. They'll never keep that.
And then okay, we'll just put it in, and if they like it, for instance, Teal'c on the vibrating bed,
the thousand fingers magic bed, yeah. But most of them stayed in, surprisingly. So they embraced it.
We've been walking around for half an hour. I don't understand it. The clearing where I landed should be around here somewhere. How do you lose a spaceship?
They've all gone through so many things. Daniel has died a half a dozen times. Samantha's been taken over by an alien, by a computer entity.
And you are?
I am within. You are O'Neill.
Yeah, we've established that.
This one has memory of you.
The one you're talking about is a person. Her name is Major Samantha Carter.
Then, I am Major.
No. No, you're not.
it's interesting if you allow those events to change the character and allow the wisdom of those events to affect their growth as a character.
You get to do all kinds of things in science fiction. You know, time travel, alternate realities, aliens with special powers. Ultimately, it all services one thing, and that is to tell a good, dramatic, interesting story that involves, you know, the characters that you kind of want to invite into your living room every week.
So is everything in order?
We can't be too careful when it comes to protecting the Stargate project.
Thank you so much for your assistance. You definitely helped us out on that one.
Yes, thanks again. You did a great job.